Good morning, class. Welcome to the online classes for physics of class 11th. Here in this session, we are going to see the chapter that is rotational motion and the system of the particles. Right? It is the seventh chapter from your book. I have already taught you that chapter 8, that is the gravitation, in the last session itself. So here we are going to see this chapter, that is system of the particles and the rotational motion. From these two words we can just identify that here we will be not talking about a single particle or a single body, but we will be seeing that if there are the system of the particles, then what are the motions, behavior, or we can say the nature of the particles, right? And the second word, that is rotational motion, we already have seen in the uniform circular motion also, but it will be a similar to that, but small difference will be there, that it is a rotational motion, that it will rotate in its own axis. So from here we have already learned the chapter, that is motion, laws of motion. We have seen motion in straight line, motion in plane. In all this we just have considered a single particle or a single body, and this single particle was considered to be an object which have the mass and have some size, right? We have already considered every object in the previous chapters as a particle, that is a single particle, right? But here we are going to select a system of the particles, like a rigid body which will having a large mass will be having a number of the particles inside it. Like if you consider a ball, if you consider a bottle, you can just consider any of the solid bodies which are around you. So if you're having that particle or a body, then what it happens, that it contains a number of the particles inside it, that is the system of the particles are there in a single body. So body which is having a very large number of the particles, and these particles are in the interaction with each other, that they interact with each other, and the body is of finite size, we can say. It is regarded as a system because it is composed of a large number of the particles which are in the interacting with each other. So this is what the system of the particle is. So we can say that every body that is in the motion is to be considered in the motion straight line and the motion plane as a particle. But in this chapter we will be considering a single object, but it will be considering to be having a large number of the particles which are interacting with one another. So this is said to be the system of the particles. Now here it is given, that is internal force and the external force. What the internal force will be, that is the mutual force acting between the particles, right? Acting between the particles along with the some forces, they will be have some attractive force, or they are responsible for holding them together to give a rigid shape and the size for a body, because we have already seen in the previous classes that what is a matter, right? Solid, liquid, gas, where the particles are holding each other with some attraction of force or the force of attraction. With this force, what with they are attracted to each other, or they're trying to hold each other, is said to be the internal force, that is the mutual force acting on the particles with each other. So that is the internal. And what is the external force? We have already learned in the laws of motion also, that if the force is exerted by any external agency, that it is said to be the external force. So external force is applied by the outside or an external agent, that is called as the external force. Like to move a body or to change direction or to change the velocity of the body, we used to apply the force, but in the external cause. So external agency is caused to be as a force, and that force is said to be the external force. Okay. So this is what the particles and the system of the particles is. Here we are going to see a new topic, that is the center of the mass. So what is the center of the mass is, that is if some body is there, then the whole mass is considered to be at a center. So we can say that the whole mass is concentrated to be supposed to be at the center of that body, and this center where the mass is totally concentrated is said to be the center of the mass. So center of the mass of a body is a point or a center where the whole mass of the body is supposed to be concentrated. Okay, here we will be seeing that the motion will be of two types, but similarly we have seen in the motion in straight line, in the two dimension and the plane. So this was for the particles. But if we talk about system of the particles, then we will be considering the two motion, that is translatory motion, and the second one will be the rotational motion. For translatory motion, just see an example, that if you will slide a book or a compass or any solid particles along an inclined plane, what will happen, that this body will have a lots of system of the particles inside it. Now if you want to just slide it on an inclined plane, what it will happen, that when on moving, no other surface will be touching that inclined plane, right? Only one surface of that body will be in the contact with the inclined plane. So what this system of the particles will be doing, they will not be touching the surface. So the system of the particle, only one surface will be in the contact. So we can say that this is a translatory motion. Okay, this is the translatory motion. Similarly, if we are taking a ball, or we are considering a spherical body, then if we try to move it in an inclined plane, what it will do, it will try to rotate itself, right? What it will do, it will rotate itself and will touch the surface of that inclined plane with its whole surface. So what we can say, that it is in the rotatory motion. So when the body is rotating along the surface, so it will touch each and every surface of the body. So we can say that the velocities of each and every particle of that system is to be with some different form, that is, they are having the different velocities. But if we are talking about a translatory motion, then the body's particle will having a single velocity, that is, they will be having a similar velocity, because only one surface is in the contact of the inclined plane. But in a rotatory, all the particles will come in the contact and they will have a different velocities. Okay. So next thing, the center of the mass, we have seen that it is a point mass, or the point where the whole mass of the body is supposed to be concentrated, right? Center of mass versus center of gravity. Center of mass of a body, we have already said that it is a point where the whole mass of the body is supposed to be concentrated. Similarly, what was the center of gravity? Where all the particles of the body act, that is point where the whole weight may be assumed to be act, that uniform gravitational fields as the earth on a small body. This center of gravity coincides with the center of the mass. Okay. Similarly, if you see that the center of the mass of the two particles, then what it is? If we talk about the center of the mass of the two particles, here we will be seeing a small derivation, that how we got it. That if we are having the two axes, that is x and one will be the y. If we are taking the two particles, one is p and the other one is p2. Okay, one is p1 and the other one is p2. From the center, if we are taking that, the distance of this p1 and p2 be r1 and r2. Okay, so what the center will be there? Because we have considered that there will be a center point where the whole mass of the body will to be concentrated. So here let the point be the C, that is the center. So distance between this center to the origin, that is O, will be RCM, where the CM will be showing the center of the mass. So RCM will be the distance of the center of the mass from the origin. So how we can just write it, that is RCM will be equals to M1 R1 plus M2 R2 upon M1 plus M2. So this will be the center of the mass for the two particles, because we are using the M1 and M2. Similarly, if we take it as for the N particles, then it will be N, right? N, M1 R1 will be changing into M, N, Rn upon M to the power N, because it is adding up to the N particle. So for 2, so if we have in the coordinates, this is for the particles which does not have the coordinates. So RCM was given as M1 R1 upon M1 R1 plus M2 R2 upon M1 plus M2. So from there, if we are having that both the masses are equal, if M1 is equals to M2, then the RCM will be R1 plus R2 upon M1 M2, both are same, so they will be 2. Okay, so this is the value for the RCM for the two masses that are having an equal mass, that is M. And if you take that they are in the coordinate system, that is x1, y1, and the second coordinate is given as x2, y2. So what the center of the mass in the x-axis will be given as, that is m1 x1 plus m2 x2 upon m1 plus m2. And for what the y coordinate will be given as for the center of the mass, that is ycm equals to m1 y1 plus m2 y2 upon m1 plus m2. So the y center of mass along the y-axis will be given as m1 y1 plus m2 y2 upon m1 plus m2. So this is the center of the mass of the two particle system when it have the coordinate, and when we see that the masses are of the same, or when the masses are different, then it will be m1 r1 plus m2 r2 upon m1 plus m2. So this is the important formula you can say from this chapter. This one will be the important one. So if we take the n number of particles, then what the n system particle will be given as for the center of mass, that is we will be adding it up to the n times, right? It will be adding it up to n times. Okay, so this n particles, what they will be doing, that we have seen for the two system particle, that is m1 r1 plus m2 r2 upon m1 plus m2. So for the n particles, what will be written as, that is rcm will be equals to that m1 r1 plus m2 r2, and it will be gone to the n particles, so it will be m1 mn rn, and similarly the mass will be also to the n particles, so m1 plus m2, and it will go through the mn. So this is what the formula for the rcm, that is center of the mass of the particle. So this is center of the mass, where all the average of the position of the vectors of all the particles are contributing their mass. Okay, so this is what can it written as, that is summation. You know this, because if you are adding some particle that is from 1 to the n side, then what we can write it as summation I equals to 1 to the power n. So it will be from I equals to 1 to the sum of that to the n particles. So it is given as MIRI. So if you have to put the values of I, we can just have it. And similarly in the downward, it is written mn was given, so here also mi we can write, that is from I equals to 1 to n. So this is what the formula. And similarly for this small m, that is n particle mass, will be given as capital M, that is sum of the mass of the particles, that is n particles, will be given as capital M. So the center of mass is according to the Cartesian coordinate, that is along the x-axis, it will be given as m1 x1 plus m2 x2 till mn xn upon m1 plus m2 till mn. So it will be written as summation mx upon summation m will be given, but together if the mass of the particle is given as capital M, then it will be, and together in the y-axis it will be mi upon capital M. For z-axis it will be mz upon capital M. So this are the system of the particles are having the n particles, and the center of the masses are given with the help of this formula. Okay, so now what we have seen, that what is the rotational motion and the translatory motion, that is the particles with inclined plane. We have seen the example that when the particles are in contact with the surface, with one surface, that is one body's surface will only in the contact with that surface, or in the inclined plane surface. So we can say that the particles are in the same velocity, that all the particles will be moving with the same velocity in the one direction, that is translatory motion. And in rotational motion, all the particles of the system will be having different velocities. So here we will be taking it as a rotational motion. Similarly for the linear motion, we have seen what is velocity, acceleration, displacement, time. Similarly we will be seeing it for the rotational motion also. So what are the words that we will be using in the rotational motion? That is, if we are using it as displacement, we have already seen that the angular or the rotational displacement is used to be taken as theta, which was equals to s upon r, or sometimes it used to be taken as length of the arc as L also. So what it was, that if you are moving with an angle theta from the center, then this arc is taken as to L or S, and the radius be r, then what we can write it as theta is equals to L upon r or S upon r. So this is the angular displacement. Similarly we have to see angular velocity also. What it is denoted with the letter, that is omega. Omega will be equal to, that is the rate of the change of the displacement with respect to time. So it will be given as d theta upon dt. Okay. Again, angular acceleration, which will be equals to alpha. So alpha will be equals to d omega upon dt, rate of change of angular velocity with respect to the time. And time will be similar, that is t. Right. So these are the values, and we have to find out the three equations of motion. We have to derive it for the rotational motion. So we have already seen that in the first equations in the motions, that u is the initial velocity and v is the final velocity, right? It is initial and it is final velocity. Similarly we have to take here also initial and the final. For that we know that the omega was equals to that of the angular velocity. So for the final, let it be omega, and for initial we will be taking it as omega naught. So in that derivation, you have already seen your graphical representations derivation also. You may have seen by making it graphically, one was statistically and the other one is calculus method, right? These three already you have seen in the previous classes. So here you are going to see about the rotational motion will be equal to that of alpha, which is given as d omega upon dt. On taking this value, what we can write, that is d omega is equals to alpha dt. As we are taking it as dt, so the value should be integrated. And what the limit should be, since it is omega, so initial velocity will be omega naught to final velocity, that is omega. and here the dt is given, so time will be 0 to t. So on integrating this, what we will get, that is d omega will be equals to that of omega, because integration of x gives dx gives only x, so the value will here be omega itself. So what we can write, that is omega, but the upper limit minus lower limit, so omega minus omega naught will be equals to that of alpha will be the common one, and other one is t, and the limit is t to 0, that is t minus 0 will be t itself, so it is alpha t, that is omega minus omega naught is equals to alpha t. So the value of omega will be omega naught plus alpha t, which is similar to that of v is equals to u plus at, where u is the initial velocity. Here initial angular velocity is given by omega naught. Similarly, we will be taking the value for the second equation of motion. What is the second equation was? That is, it is given for the distance, right, displacement, that is s is equals to ut plus half at square for the linear motion. So for angular, we will be starting at velocity, that is the rate of change of angular displacement with respect to time or rotational displacement. So d theta will be equals to omega dt. Now again we have to integrate it. For theta it will be from 0 to theta, and limits for the dt again 0 to t. But here we have to find out the value for the acceleration also, because s is equals to ut plus half at is there. Okay, so for taking d theta, we have already taken that it is 0 to theta. For omega dt, that is omega dt, we have taken it as 0 to 2, because we are integrating with respect to the time t. So taking it as 0 to t, but putting the value of omega, that is omega naught plus alpha t, that is u plus at, and integrating with respect to the t. So what will the value? That is theta minus 0, theta minus 0 will be equals to that omega naught t minus, because it was omega, on integrating that omega we will be getting as omega t. Similarly, other one is alpha t, so it will be alpha t square by 2, so it will be omega t plus alpha t square minus 0, so alpha t square by 2. So what the value will be? That is omega naught t plus alpha t square by 2, that is half alpha t square also we can say. So theta is equals to omega naught t plus half alpha t square, that is s is equals to ut plus half at square. And for third one, what we can write, we use the v square is equals to u square plus 2as. So using that formula, for that we have to take out the value of alpha also. So alpha is equals to d omega by dt. So how can it can be written as, that is d omega by d theta into d theta by dt. Okay, and what this d theta by dt is given as, that is d omega itself. So d omega upon d theta into omega. So on taking the limits also, that d omega will be coming here, so it will be alpha into d omega equals to that of, so alpha into d theta, omega d omega is there. So omega d omega is equals to alpha d theta. On integrating, that is from omega naught to omega and 0 to theta. So here it will be alpha d theta itself, similar to that, that is alpha theta will be remaining here, but here it will be omega square by 2 with having the limits from omega naught to omega, that is initial velocity to final. So on taking this, what it will be, that is omega square upon 2 minus omega naught square upon 2 equals to that of alpha, and theta is also that, theta minus 0 will be theta itself. So on just multiplying this 2 over that side, then it will be omega minus omega naught square will be equals to 2 alpha theta, right? Omega square minus omega naught square will be equals to alpha theta, and it is multiplied by 2. So omega square be given as omega naught square plus 2 alpha theta. So this is the value for third, that is v square is equals to u square plus 2a. So these are the three equations of motion for the rotational. Now we will be seeing that what the moment of the force or the torque. Here we are going to see the new topic, that is force, moment of force, which is given as the word torque, and the torque is denoted with the letter tau, that is tau. Okay, so this is tau, and this is to be the force. It is a form of force or a moment of force. It is given as torque. Okay, So what this torque is that if we are having any object, so to turn it, some different forces acting on it in the opposite direction should be used. That is, two different couples of forces should be acting on a body. Like if you just want to turn any body, then the effect should be more. One side effect should be more. That is, force applied by the one side should be more than that of the other side. Then only the body will start turning. So this turning effect due to the couple of the forces is said to be the torque, which is denoted with the letter tau. Okay, so what this tau is, that it depends upon the magnitude of the force applied on the object by one side. That is, it is depends on the magnitude of the force, that is F. It depends on the force. Similarly, it depends on the distance, that is the perpendicular distance given on that object. Perpendicular distance given on that object, which is, let it be R, you can take it as D, you can take it as P, anything, whatever the perpendicular distance you want to take. So tau depends on the force, that is magnitude of the force, whatever the value which you have applied on that body. Tau will depend on the perpendicular distance between them, that is R. So what the tau will be, that is F into R, and here torque is equals to F cross R. Here both will have a vector quantity. So tau is equals to F cross R. So force into distance. If anyone asks you, then it is the product of the force and the perpendicular distance on that object. Now we will see that what this angular momentum is. We have already seen the linear momentum. That momentum was given as the measure of its motion, right? The impact of the force it was given, it depends on the mass and the velocity of that object. That is, it is directly proportional to the mass and velocity. It is a product of mv. It is given by p, that is mv. So angular momentum of the particle, here we're talking about the rotational motion. So every body will be in the condition of rotation itself. So the momentum, that is a particle rotating about an axis, is defined as the momentum of the linear momentum of the particle about that axis. So the object is rotating. Let us consider that an object is rotating over here. So it will be considered to be the momentum with which the body is rotating along with the axis. Then it is said to be the linear momentum, but its moment. So it will be the angular momentum, which is given with the letter L. So what the L is, that is L is the angular momentum. So L is given as angular momentum, which is equal to that of the linear momentum and the distance between from the body to its axis of rotation. So if you take that the body is rotating somewhere, then the axis and the distance between them is taken as the perpendicular distance, is R. So L will be equal to that of P cross R. Remember this PR will be there. And before this we have seen that tau is equals to F cross R. So these are the two formulas which we have to remember for the rotational motion. Here we know that it is a vector quantity P cross R, so we can take it as PR sin theta also. If it is having a vector quantity and if we take it an angle theta with the z direction or the x or the y direction of the axis, so it will be taken as a vector quantity. So it will be PR sin theta or RP sin theta. So now we will see the physical meaning of the angular momentum, what this angular momentum will show us. So physical meaning or anything else, but the value will be that PR sin theta is, so that is torque was given as force into R. Similarly, L is given as P cross R. So same thing you will be deriving it from the angular momentum itself, but remember the formula that what we have derived, right? That is PR sin theta, that is P into R. In terms of rectangular components, what we can write, that is P, on taking its rectangular components, resolving it, then it will be Pyj plus Pzk. So the three momentums rectangular components are given here, ijk and rxi, we can take it as xi itself, that is xi plus yj plus zk, because it is distance itself, so we don't have to write it as rx ry. On taking P cross R, what we will be getting, that it is, you have to find out the matrix method, or you can also try it with the help of a splitting, that is distribution method also. So this is value from where you will be finding P cross R for the different components of the rectangular components, as I, j, k along the x, y and the z direction. Now we have to see that what is the relationship between the torque and the angular momentum. Torque is given as P cross, that is F cross R, and again we know that L was given as P cross R. So together we can write that the torque is also P cross R itself, because force is directly proportional to the momentum also. So now we will be seeing that how we have to derive it. Here you can see that torque is given as the product of the force and the perpendicular distance between them, and the L is given as P cross R. On taking the differentiation, what we will get, that is d by dt. Once you have to take r value, p will be constant. Once you have to take out the r, and the p will be differentiated. So what this dr by dt, that is the rate of the change of the displacement with respect to time. So it will be taken as area. Okay, so L will be taken, dl by dt can be given as dr by dt p and dp by dt. And what is the rate of the change of the momentum, that is dp by dt can be given as the force, because we have read in this second law of motion, that is force is directly proportional to the rate of the change of the momentum with respect to time. So we can write it as F, and the change in the displacement is given as velocity. So dr by dt will be taken as v. So what the value is, that is r cross p was there, so it is v cross p, because velocity v cross p, plus F for the dp by dt, and r is also there, so r cross F. Now what it can be written as, that is if we take the momentum or the body will be 0, then what the value will be, that is if the linear momentum is 0, so we can take that it will be equal to that of torque itself, that is F cross R. So dl by dt can be written as, for any body if its linear momentum is 0, then dl by dt, the rate of change of the angular momentum, will be directly proportional to the force itself. So what this was similar to that the rate of the change of the momentum, right, linear momentum was also equals to the force. So rotational is also giving the same thing but with a torque. So it is F dp by dt. Now the geometrical meaning of the angular momentum, for this you just remember the formula, that how it came. We know that area will be given as the half base into height. So what it given as base will be r, height will be dr or the del r. Here you can see the diagram also, that if you are taking any body with a center of mass, taking the distance from this point to the other point is given as r, and the distance between that two particles is given as del r. So it is r into del r. So what this del r will be, we know that v is equals to del r by del t. So what del r will be, v del t. So on putting this v del t value here, it will be half r v del t. Together what we will be getting, that is we know p is equals to mv, and we know that del a will be equals to p cross r, that is half r into p by m into del t. Okay, so on taking this value, what we will be getting, that is del a by del t will be equals to that of the p cross r is remaining there. So what we can write, that is del a upon del t will be equals to 1 by 2m and p cross r. And this what p cross r is, it is L. So what we can write, that is 1 by 2m L. So del a by a is equals to 1 by 2m L, that is angular momentum. So I'm taking the value of the L, that is angular momentum. So it is given as 2m del a upon del t. So this is what the angular momentum and geometrical meaning of it. So this is what the formula, so it's an important formula, just remember it. So now what we have, the formulas that we have seen here, that is torque is equals to force and the product of its perpendicular distance, similarly F into d, and we can write it as F cross R also. Since it is a cross product, that is vector quantities are given, so it will be sin theta will be taken as here, that is F r sin theta. Similarly torque will be given as torque into angular velocity, that is P is equals to tau omega, and work done, that is force into displacement. So here we are displacing at some angle, so rotational will be taken as rotational displacement or the angular displacement as theta. So force is taken as tau. So work done will be equal to tau into theta. We have seen angular momentum, which was the product of the perpendicular distance from the axis of rotation and its linear momentum, that is p cross r, and it can be written as an angle with sin theta, that is p r sin theta. So if a particle is moving with uniform along a circle, then it will be 2 pi r, we know that, but together if for the angular momentum it will be mvr, that is momentum, linear momentum will be taken, that is mv, and r will be there, that is mvr. And what is the torque? That is the rate of the change of the angular momentum, because force was directly proportional to the rate of the change of the linear momentum. Here rotational force, that is tau or the torque, will be directly proportional to that of the rate of the change of rotational momentum, that is L. So tau is equal to dl by dt. Similarly, we have to find the moment of inertia. Now what this moment of inertia or the rotational inertia is, that property of a body which opposes the torque. Okay, now we have seen that what was the inertia in the Newton's law of motion. That is, inertia was the tendency of a body to just oppose the state of rest or the state of the motion. So it is inertia. Here also we will be saying moment of inertia, that is, every bodies, we know that they continues into the state of rest and continues to be in the state of motion then until or unless it is acted upon by an external force. So the property of a body by which it opposes the rotational motion here, because we are talking of the linear, but here we will be talking about the rotational motion. So if a body is rotating and if it just opposes the motion acting on it, state of rest or state of motion in the rotation about an axis, then the inertia will be taken as a moment of inertia or the rotational inertia. So moment of inertia will be taken as the sum of the products of the masses of the particles and the square of the respective distance from the axis of rotation. Okay, so there used to be some confusion between this center of mass and the moment of inertia, because in the center of mass we have seen it, that's mr1 m2 r2 upon m1 plus n2, and for x coordinate we have taken as m1 x1 plus m2 x2 upon m1 plus m2. Okay, but here we are talking about moment of inertia, which is the product of the masses and the distance square and the sum of it till the n particles. It is sum of the n system of the particles with the product of the mass and the distance square. So it is till m n r n square. So what the value will be, that is, we will be taking summation, that is I equals to 1 to n, that is m I r I square. What is the value of it? That is moment of inertia. So inertia will be given as I, capital I. We know that the inertia is the inherent property of the body which opposes the state of the rest or the state of the motion, because there is a property of every body to remain at rest or it tends to be rest, right, if it is in rest, and it tends to be motion if it is in motion. So this is what the moment of inertia was. So for the what the rotational kinetic energy is, that is, we know that the kinetic energy is taken as half mv square, and we know what the v value is in the uniform circular motion. We have seen that angular velocity is omega, v is linear velocity, then what the relationship between v and omega, that is v is equals to omega r, and we know that half mv square is given for kinetic energy for any body motion, that it possesses the kinetic energy. So half mv, instead of m, what instead of this v square we can write as omega r, so omega square r square. So this is for the first one. Again you have to take it for the second and the third one also. Similarly, if you want this, then you can add up the different masses a product of the distance square. So there you can find out the kinetic energy and the relationship between the moment of inertia. So half mr square was moment of inertia and omega square can be given as kinetic energy. So what this, we know kinetic energy is half mv square. So instead of half m, it is given as moment of inertia, and v square it is given as I omega square. This is what the kinetic energy for the rotational motion or the rotational kinetic energy. Okay, so what is radius of gyration? We know that is m1 r1 plus m2 r2, moment of inertia, that is m1 r1 plus m2 r2 till mrn. So I'm taking this m as common. What we will get, the number of the particles here are n, so it is taken as m r1 to m rn. So here what we can write, that this is the r1 r2 till rn upon n will be taken as constant k, and here what this k is, that is radius of gyration about the axis. So here we will be finding the radius of gyration k. So what is the value, that is I is equals to half mk square. It is half mk square, somewhere it is mk square also. Now the momentum of inertia of the different shapes object, that is, for you just have to remember the formula, because in this session we are not getting any derivation issue. So just read the formulas and try to solve the numericals first. So see what the circular ring will have the moment of inertia as, that is, we know that half m r square is there. For that you just have to put out the value of r also, because we don't know the value of di, that is inertia is not known. which is taken as a mass. So what is the mass of the small unit? It will be taken as the density per unit volume. Right, density into volume will be taken. So on putting these values, what we get, that is moment of inertia for any ring perpendicular to its plane towards the center of that ring is taken as mr square. I is equals to mr square. And moment of inertia of a ring about any diameter, then what it is taken as, that is half mr square. So if you are taking from the ring along the diameter, then it is taken as half mr square, and if you are taking wide the center, then it is mr square itself. And at the tangent, what you can see, that is 3 by 2 mr square. So you just have to remember this formula, that whenever we have to find out the moment of inertia, then what we can say, that the moment of inertia of the body of the circular ring along the axis of the center passing through the center is given as mr square. If you take it along the diameter, that is half mr square, and if you take it as tangent through the circle, that is taken as 3 by 2 mr square. Now the moment of inertia of a uniform circular disc, if you are having a disc, then it is taken as half mr square, the whole value. If you take it through the diametrical end, then it is taken as 1 by 4 mr square, and if you take out the value for the tangent, it is 5 by 4 mr square. For uniform rod, it is taken as mr square by 12. And if you take out the radius of gyration, that is mk square. So from there we can find out the value of k also, that is L upon root 3. Everywhere you can find out by taking mk square is equals to the moment of inertia, that is half mr square will be equals to mk square. So what the value will be, that is under root 2r square. Similarly, you have to find out for everything, that is radius of gyration. And for the cylindrical body, what the formula is, that is 1 by 2 mr square. So this is what the values for the rotational motion, center of mass, and the moment of inertia of the different objects. And we have seen what the rotational velocity, rotational acceleration, time, and all. So these are the rotational motion and the system of the particles. So this is the last chapter for your portion according to the syllabus of CBSE, that is term 1. So I have already told you the chapter 8, that is gravitation. Before that, I have given you the work energy power, that is chapter 6. Chapter 5, laws of motion. So from tomorrow onwards, we'll be starting a revision, that how we are solving these questions. So till Saturday, you will be getting the videos for the revision. So don't be tensed, because Tuesday is there, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So more 5 days are there for getting the videos. Okay. So try to see how the MCQs will come and how to solve the assertion reason problems. And it is good for the online classes, that try to make it more better to solve, or make it more fast to solve the questions. Okay. So thank you, class.